Mopar's fatal flaw, hidden beneath every classic Hemi. You can have a 426 Hemi. You can have a Dana 60 rear. You can have a pristine, numbers-matching 1970 Charger that's worth $250,000. But hidden behind that dashboard is a ticking time bomb. A $5 design choice that has burned more Mopars to the ground than crashes, rust, and neglect combined. It's not a mechanical failure, it's an electrical assassination. Subscribe, because today I'm going to show you how to stop your dream car from becoming a barbecue. Let's go back to 1968. Chrysler was building the baddest muscle cars on the planet. They over-engineered the engines. They over-engineered the transmissions. The TorqueFlite 727 is bulletproof. The 8 3/4 rear end is legendary. But when it came to the electrical system, they made a mistake. A critical, fundamental engineering error that worked fine for a 318 Plymouth Valiant with an AM radio, but was catastrophic for a loaded muscle car. They decided to use an ammeter. Now look at a Chevy or a Ford from that era. They usually had an ALT warning light or a voltmeter. But Chrysler wanted you to know exactly how much current was flowing in or out of the battery. So they designed a system where 100% of the vehicle's electrical load passes directly through the dashboard gauge. Here is the architecture of the failure. You have the alternator under the hood generating power. That power has to get to the battery to charge it and to the fuse box to run the car. In a Mopar, that massive red wire goes from the alternator through the firewall into the dashboard, through the physical gauge cluster, and then back out through the firewall to the battery. Think about that. You have a live, high amperage main power cable snaking its way through 50-year-old plastic right behind your speedometer, essentially sitting in your lap. And here is the weak link, the bulkhead connector, the firewall, that plastic block where the engine harness meets the dash harness. To get that power through the firewall, Chrysler used simple brass spade terminals inside a plastic block. In 1970, when the copper was new and the connections were tight, it worked. But add 5 decades of oxidation, add moisture, add vibration, corrosion builds up on those brass terminals. In the electrical world, corrosion equals resistance. And as any mechanic knows, resistance equals heat. Lots of heat. Let me paint the picture. It's a hot summer night. You're cruising in your 70 CUDA. You've got the headlights on. The high beams. Maybe you upgraded to halogens. Mistake number 1. You've got the heater blower fan on because the defroster is foggy. You've got an aftermarket stereo bumping. The electric cooling fans kick on. You are drawing 50, maybe 60 amps. All of that current is trying to squeeze through a corroded, loose spade terminal in the bulkhead connector that's the size of a pinky nail. The terminal gets hot, then it gets glowing hot. The plastic housing around it starts to melt. The wires lose their insulation. The positive feed touches the ground. Arc flash. Suddenly, smoke starts pouring out from under the dash. You smell burning plastic. The gauge cluster goes dead. And before you can pull over and pop the hood, the entire wiring harness is engulfed in flames. Because here's the kicker. That main feed wire in the factory harness, it's not fused. There is no fuse, no fusible link, no breaker that pops to save you. It's a direct short from the battery to the firewall. The wire becomes a heating element and the car burns until the battery cables melt off or the fire department shows up. I've seen it happen. I've seen grown men cry over a pile of charred metal that used to be a Superbird. And the tragic part? It usually happens right after a restoration. Why?
Because guys paint the car, rebuild the engine, and clean the interior, but they reuse the original 50-year-old wiring harness. Or they install a higher output alternator, maybe a 100 amp unit, thinking they're upgrading the car. You try to push 100 amps through a bulkhead connector designed for 35 amps? You're essentially welding the dashboard together. So how do the pros fix this? We bypass it. We call it the mad electrical bypass. Shout out to the forums. We take the ammeter out of the loop. We run a heavy gauge charging wire directly from the alternator output stud to the starter relay, which connects to the battery. This keeps the high amperage charging current under the hood where it belongs. It never touches the bulkhead connector. It never touches the dash. Inside the car, we convert that dangerous ammeter into a voltmeter. A voltmeter is safe. It just samples the voltage. It doesn't carry the current. It tells you the condition of the system without risking your life. Or, if you want to keep the stock look, you leave the ammeter dead, disconnected, and just run the car knowing it won't burn down. There are companies today, Classic Industries, Painless Performance, that sell updated harnesses that eliminate this flaw. They use fusible links and relays to take the load off the switches. If you own a classic Mopar, Charger, Challenger, Roadrunner, Dart, I don't care, and you're running the stock wiring through the stock bulkhead connector, stop driving it. Go out to the garage, pop the hood. Look at the plastic block on the firewall near the master cylinder. If you see melted plastic, if you see blackened wires, if the connector feels warm to the touch while the car is running, you are living on borrowed time. The Hemi was an engineering marvel. The torque flight was a masterpiece. But the wiring was built by accountants who wanted to save 10 cents on copper. Don't let a 10-cent terminal destroy a six-figure legend. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. This isn't just about E-bodies and B-bodies. This is every Mopar from 1960 to 1976. Your Sub-6 Duster? Same bulkhead connector. Your 340 Demon? Same design. That pristine Ram Air Cuda sitting in your climate-controlled garage? It's got the same $5 time bomb waiting to go off. If you want to know what else is hiding in your muscle car waiting to fail, hit that subscribe button. Next time, we're talking about the Ford 9-inch, why everyone thinks it's invincible, and the one crucial mistake people make when building them for big power. You won't want to miss it.